Hey guys, Stellar Christoph here for another Alestros video. Today we're going to be going over our Wind Toolbox Nexus deck. Let's go. So right here I got three separate piles. I have our main deck, our side deck, and our spirits. My deck consists of mainly Wind. This is a Wind Toolbox Nexus deck. The Toolbox aspect is I'm going to be searching my deck for cards, getting the cards I need to play them. The Wind Nexus aspect is I'm going to be taking spirits from one area and moving them somewhere else to use special abilities to help attack, so on and so forth. So in my deck, I have them in order. We're going to go over all of our Alestros. We're going to go over our normal runes, and then we're going to go over our counter runes. So you can't have a Wind Nexus without Exaltair. Exaltair is a 3-attack Alestral. It's got 2 defense and it's a Nexus up to 2. When you do, your opponent must expend 2 spirits. So not only are you going to use this card to Nexus around the field, but every time you use its ability, so once a turn, you get to have your opponent expend spirits, dealing extra damage to them and keeping them on their toes. I have 2 of these, and the second one is actually my favorite because I have a Stellar one. Got this recently. This is a 75 out of 99 Stellar Rare. Next up is going to be our P-Gust. This is the exact opposite, a 2 defense, 3 attack. This one is when it receives 1 or more wind spirits, you can target and destroy a rune. Doesn't matter if it's face up or face down, doesn't matter what type of rune it is, but already you can see the synergy here, guys. You're going to use Exaltair's Nexus ability. You're going to take a spirit anywhere on the field. Doesn't have to be on this guy, and you're going to put it on your P-Gust. That's going to activate its ability to destroy a rune. If you have a second one, especially on the field along with this guy, and you're nexusing one onto this one or this one on the other one, you can do it essentially a couple times a turn. Now remember, the way it's typed is when it receives 1 or more. So if you have, say, 2 B-Gust and 2 Exaltairs on the field, you can use both Exaltair's abilities Nexus one to another back and forth. You can use this guy's ability multiple times a turn. If you have Circle the Sky, which is a Nexus mechanic, if you have Altar Stars, which is a Nexus mechanic, every time it receives a Wind Spirit, you can use that ability, as well as the turn you summon it. So I have 2 of these, and again, I got my Stellar. This one, my very first video I posted, which I'm going to tell you guys, it was kind of cringy. That was a legit pull. That was a actual box, but let's go break the fourth wall. I actually stopped mid-recording because of how bad I was doing. It was my very first video. I was super nervous. So I restarted the video, and sadly, when I opened this pack, I pulled it off screen so you guys couldn't see me open it. It was not good, but to me, that was my very first Stella. That it was a legit pull, even though the video was not the best. So number 77 out of 99, so cool number as well to go along with that. My favorite Stellar I own. It might not be everyone's favorite color scheme, it might not be everyone's favorite Alestro, but by far my favorite. So again, I have 2 of those, so you can use that ability multiple times. And then I also have a third receiver, is another name you can call them. So every time they receive an element, or their element. This is Nemisail. It came out in Frostfall. It is a 3-attack, 1 defense. When this Nemisail receives 1 or more wind spirits, you can return 2 from your underworld back to your spirit deck. So this is going to be more recovery. So most decks, including this one, you're going to have Ambrosia, which heals. It costs you 1, heals you 3. This one's going to heal me 2 every time it receives Alestrals, or it receives spirits. So again, the turn you summon it, you can go ahead and do that. I have 2 of these as well. Next up is going to be my Sorlet, and I do have the Stellar variant. Before I continue, those were serialized. This is a promo card. So this one is not serialized. 5 attack, 1 defense. As of right now, set 3 is being revealed over the next couple weeks. 5 attack for a 1-cost Alestral is actually the highest that's out right now. Most of them will have lower defenses, so like this one, Necruff is a 5/1 as well. It's got for fire, but you can expend 1 wind spirit. So expending is taking it from my spirit deck, ditching it into my underworld. So I can expend 1 wind spirit in order to change the position of an Alestral unless it's wind enchanted. So again, if you have cards like, say, Galaxy, flip-flops the attack and defense of any water enchanted Alestral. So it's going to be in attack mode. It's going to have a higher attack now. Use this guy's ability, turn it to defense mode, and then now it can attack 5 to a normal 2 on that one. And I have 3 of these, all of them being the promo cards. Cockadoodle, this is and I gotta say it with a little country accent, Cockadoodle. This is a newer card for Frostfall. 4 attack, 2 defense, 1 cost. This does have an Ascension, which I'm not going to lie, it is in my side deck, so we'll go over the Ascension later on. But when you cast this Cockadoodle, you can target an opponent's Celestial. That Celestial is suppressed as long as this Cockadoodle is enchanted. So basically what it's saying is, say I got Sorlet out on the field right now opposite him. I summon this guy. Basically, Sorlet can't use its ability. That's what the term suppression means. I can still attack with it, defend with it, but if it's suppressed, I can't use that ability as long as this guy is on the field. I got 2 of those. Galax Air. This is the Nexus variant of Galaxy. So basically, in the lore videos, and they're going to be explaining it hopefully further on, but basically, this was a Galaxy that was misenchanted with a Wind Spirit, so this is the new form it received. That doesn't happen during the game, not to confuse you guys. If I put a Water Spirit, it doesn't count as Galaxy, but that's just something in the lore of the game. So Galax Air is the wind variant of that card. It's got a 3 attack, 4 defense. You can target an Celestial and swap its attack and defense until the end phase. So it does not say this, but that's once a turn. So every turn I can use that ability. And again, to me, this is a counter to Galaxy. So Galaxy, when its abilities activates flip-flops attack and defense, this guy's going to flip it right back. 4 defense, not that bad for a 1 cost. But it also doesn't say who you can use it on. So you can use this on your own Celestials as well. You know, if you have someone and say they have a 3 attack out right now, or if, we'll say Cockadoodle, for instance, it's got a 4 attack, I can actually use this guy's ability to either switch this guy's attack and defense so it's now a 2, or I can use it on myself and make that a 4 attack. And then I can crash is the term. When 2 Celestials with the same attack each other and they get destroyed, that's called crashing. So I can crash my Galax Air into the Cockadoodle and get that off the field. This one I only have 1 of. I'm not going to lie, I have another one in my side deck, just in case. So when you do a normal tournament, you have 3 games. It's best 2 out of 3. So I'm going to go up against my opponent and say they're running that water deck. And you know what? I just couldn't draw this guy. I have another one. I can switch cards out in my main deck. That way I have more of an advantage trying to pull on this card. And then my last Celestial is going to be Chrysor. This is the Ascension of our Sorlet. It's an 8 attack, 4 defense. When this Chrysor can attack your opponent's spirit deck directly, which means bypass the Celestials on the field, go in for a direct attack. When this Chrysor deals damage to an opponent, you can return up to 2 Wind Spirits from your Underworld to your spirit deck. So I call it passive recovery, but I love that phase of it, that I'm going to deal damage and heal myself at the same time. An 8 attack, again, decent attack if you have a Stadium Rune out, or say an Artifact Rune to power him up, or in general there's other cards that will raise attack. That's going to work out. If you want to jump over and say they have a 7 attack, but it's not something you think you have to worry about, say you have a back row full of runes, you want it to deal damage, or it's about to win the game, you can go ahead and do that as well. Also, too, you know, they have a 7 attack, you could go ahead and destroy that Celestial, say Galaxy. I could destroy it, but say I'm only down to a couple spirits. Personally, I would rather recover some more health versus destroying an Celestial. But also, if you really read the text, it's saying when you deal damage. So say Galax Air is out in attack mode, it's got a 3, this is an 8. Chrysor is going to destroy the Galax Air, and because this one has a 2 and this has a 1, it's going to deal 1 damage to my opponent. So I'll still heal those 2 spirits afterwards. Let me rephrase that. That was the last of the Wind Celestials, guys. So Astrabbit, I do have the promo card for that one. I have 2 of these in this deck. The other one being the Shattered Stars version. But this one is a 2 attack, 5 defense, Thunder Celestial. When this Astrabbit receives 1 or more Thunder Spirits, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 of them to your hand, and shuffle the rest in your deck. One thing that everyone needs to remember, in a key aspect of this game, when you're picking up cards from your deck, you do not have to show your opponent. The only time you're showing your opponent is when it has a search ability, which I have a card we'll get to here in a little bit. It should be the next card, actually. That when you have to search your deck for the card, you do have to show them. So again, they know you're not cheating, but that's part of the search engine of the game. Picking up the cards, looking at them, and then shuffling back in, you don't have to show your opponent that. But then, one good thing about this is, say you're on the ropes. Number 1, a 5 defense is pretty good. And then number 2, being able to pick up those next 3 cards. Say one of them is a counter rune that's going to save you for an additional turn. That's a game changer. That's something that's really going to help you guys out. So again, I do have 2 of those. Next up, and my last Celestial for sure this time, sorry guys, is my Elichic. 4 attack, 1 defense. This is a Thunder Celestial. When you normal cast this Elichick, you can search your deck for a Divine Rune and add to your hand. So most decks do have a Divine Rune that's going to be one of your gods. So I'll tell you guys now, mine's Aelus. I'm running a Wind deck. I need to have Aelus in my deck. So it doesn't matter what element it is. It just says Divine Rune. So you're going to search your deck. You're going to go ahead, show your opponent what the card is, and then reshuffle your deck, put the card in your hand. One thing I do want to point out when you guys are playing the game, some more advanced strategies. You can misenchant, number 1, which means I can summon this Elichick, say with a Wind Spirit, and it's not going to be able to use its ability, but I'll have a card on the field. And the second thing is adding more spirits to your card. So instead of summoning an Celestial this turn, I can take a card from my Spirit deck and add it to my Elichick. That would not be a misenchant as long as there's 1 Thunder Spirit on this card. You have to have the total number of spirits that it shows right here to activate the abilities. Everything else is just extra. So one thing I want to point out would be, say, my Sorlet. Sorlet's ability is if they don't have a Wind Spirit, you can change the attack and defense. But say I add an additional spirit to this and it's wind, that ability won't work. That's going to stop my opponent. There's a card in Frostfall, Cryovern, I believe it's called. It's a 4 attack or 7 attack, 4 defense. It is a frost card. You use it to get to your Cryo Scorch. But what people have been doing in a very good play is that they get the card special ascended or special cast to the field, special ascended, and they misenchant it. So you can't use the ability, but say they'll put water on it, so Tsunami doesn't affect it. You can put Wind Spirit, so you can't use your Sorlet on it. There's different avenues you could do. One thing I really like to do in my Thunder deck is I have a card called Sonicore, which blocks counter runes, and summoning it can't be countered. So what I'll do is I have a Water Celestial called Mistation, which has a 1 attack, 6 defense. I misenchant it with Thunder. That way I can go ahead and summon my Sonicore next turn. But a 6 attack on a 1 cost is the highest defense that's around right now. So using those advanced plays to further your combo, to really, hammer in on your opponent, counter anything they have on the field, and ultimately try to win the game. So I do have 2 of these Elichicks. Alright, we're going to do our Divine Rune next. This is going to be Aelus. This is the Shattered Stars Marbled version, it's called. Each Shattered Stars, at least for the first 8 months, will have their Divine Rune as a marble statue. So this one, all of them are going to cost you 1. This is the only one I've seen so far. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. But this is the only one that you can add 4 spirits to. Every other Divine Runes, you add 3 additional. So this guy will have a total of 5 on there. When you cast this Aelus, you can enchant up to 4 Wind Spirits to it. Its secondary ability is when you disenchant 2 Wind Spirits from Aelus, you can search your deck for a 1-cost Spirit Celestial and add it to your hand. So this is the toolbox aspect of this game. Obviously I'm going to have my Elichick to find this guy, but I can go ahead and add multiple spirits to it, which means I can search my deck twice and say I need my Exaltair. I can search my deck, grab Exaltair, bring it to the field. I can Nexus spirits off of this. I can add spirits to this. So if I really need to find one of my cards, say my opponent has a face down rune and I'm worried about it, I'll go ahead and use Aelus, get my P-Gust, play my P-Gust, and then somehow you can Nexus it, but when you play your P-Gust, that you also get to use its ability right away to destroy that face down rune. Say they have 2 face downs, or say they have a stadium and you think that stadium is going to be a pain in your butt. Go ahead and use its ability, play your P-Gust, activate its ability, Nexus off of Aelus to P-Gust again to play the ability a second time. Next up is our Stadium rune. Your Stadium, if anyone's played Yu-Gi-Oh, this is your field spell otherwise. But I have 2 of these. Basically what it says is for every Wind Spirit on the Celestial, they get +1 attack and defense. So we're talking about Nexus again. Say I did use that combo and I had 2 Wind Spirits on my P-Gust. It will go from a 2 attack to a 4 attack. Same thing with the defense. It's going to go from a 3 defense to a 5 defense. So good card to have in your decks. There isn't a Thunder Celestial called Jolton, which lets you search for Stadium runes. As of right now, I don't have need for that in this deck. As the meta evolves and as my play style evolves, that might be something I need to think about adding. One thing I want to point out also, say you got your Aelus, you need your Stadium runes. That's why I have 2 Elichicks to search for that. So that gives me 5 chances to pull that card right away. It's about an 8% chance to pull the card you need. So definitely helps out trying to get your strategies going. Next up is Earthquake. From what I've seen, and a couple of these cards coming up, these are what they call staple cards. Almost every single deck is going to have these cards moving forward. So Earthquake, it's going to cost you 2 Earth, but you get to target and destroy an Celestial. Doesn't matter if it's on your side, their side, doesn't matter. You get to go ahead and destroy their cards. Ambrosia, I always run 3 of these in my deck. This is your healing. So it's going to cost you 1, but you get to heal 3 spirits from your underworld. So essentially with this, it's going to cost me 3, but I'm going to bring 9 back to heal myself throughout the game. Altar Stars, I wouldn't necessarily call this a staple, but if you're running a Nexus deck, I would highly recommend having 2, maybe 3 of these in there. This says you can Nexus 1 spirit. So no element, doesn't matter what you use. There's 6 elements right now, 8 in the future, doesn't matter which one. If you do, so again, you have to use Nexus to activate the secondary ability, you can change the position of an Celestial. So again, I like to keep throwing Galaxy out there because it has that ability to switch attack and defense. Use this card. Not only do I get to use the Nexus ability on my side if I have a receiver, but I also get to turn their position to attack to defense or vice versa, whatever I need to do. Say they have a card that Astro Rabbit has a 2 attack. I can use this mid-attack, turn it to attack mode, and then my Celestials will fight over it. We're talking about the receiver cards. I have 3 receivers in my deck. P-Gus is going to be my example. I can use this on my opponent's turn, Nexus onto my P-Gus. Now I can use that ability mid-turn. That's part of the chain. There are chains in the game that if you're activating multiple cards, so if I activate this and then I go ahead and do my P-Gust, my P-Gust is going to receive that ability. That would be actually a secondary effect because I have to go ahead and use this card first. I believe. Don't quote me on that. Tsunami. This is probably, in my opinion, the #1 staple card. Definitely the top 3 or 4. Basically, when you can change all positions on the field, all Celestials on the field to defense position, unless they are water enchanted. So if you're playing a water deck, this card will be absolutely useless to you. But if you're not, or even, say it's mid-attack, you can go ahead and change the positions. Now, the thing about counter runes everyone needs to remember is you can activate them on your turn after they've been face down for a full turn. So say it's my turn, I'm going to take my Tsunami, I'm going to play it face down, okay? My opponent goes, they do their turn, whatever. Now it's my turn. I can play this card whenever I want. So again, if they have a high attacker and they destroyed every card on my field and I had a card in my hand ready to go that can beat it versus its defense position, I can go ahead and play Tsunami on my turn, destroy that Celestial. Shield of Achilles. This one is a really good card to have. It's kind of hit and miss when it comes to cost. I myself sometimes have not paid attention to the cost on it and hurt myself in the process. To activate the ability, it only costs you 1. But the Shield of Achilles can only be cast after your opponent has declared an attack. You expend an additional spear equal to the Celestial's enchantment cost in order to negate the attack and return to the Celestial to their hand. So #1, it's going to save you from getting your Celestial destroyed or save you from direct damage. If your opponent has a 2 cost or a 3 cost, or in general that Celestial has a bunch of spirits on there, you're going to use this, they're going to lose all those spirits. So, for instance, I had a buddy I played against, and he used Locagon. It's a 2-cost water. I didn't pay attention to my spirit deck, so I used the 1 cost. It cost me 2 because of the secondary ability, or because of the ability to send it back to the hand, and then I was down more spirits than I needed. I ultimately lost the game. So that's when I say you guys need to pay attention to your spirits when you play this card. Really pay attention and know what's going on, know what's in your spirit deck. That's your life points, your resources. Like, you need to pay attention to that. Next up is Poison Tipped Arrow. Again, one of the main staple cards, one of the main counter runes in this deck. It costs you 1, but basically when they cast an Celestial, doesn't matter if it's a special cast, it does not matter. You target that Celestial and it gives it -2 attack. So Sorlet would be my example for this one. It's a 5 attack. My opponent plays Poison Tipped Arrow. It goes down to a 3. Decent amount of cards can either crash into it or destroy it. The secondary ability is where this card is really great for your deck. That at the end of the turn, if say their Celestial wasn't destroyed, because you can use this, your opponent, or let me rephrase that, you can't use it in the battle phase, that's the next card. But at the end of the turn, if that card somehow wasn't destroyed this turn, you can expend an additional spirit to destroy that Celestial. So again, Poison Tipped Arrow. You're going to poison your opponent. What happens after you've been poisoned, you ultimately going to get destroyed. Gorgon's Gaze is the last card in this deck. It is a counter rune as well. This one is really good for mid attacks, or if your opponent's really going to go ahead and use a specific combo. So it's going to cost you 2. You're going to target an Celestial. Until the end phase, that Celestial's effect is negated. It can't receive enchantments, attack, nexus, or ascend. So basically, it's null and void. You can use this mid attack. Your opponent declares an attack. Attack's going through Gorgon's Gaze. Suppresses an ability, say Galaxy. It's going to suppress its ability, so the attack goes back to a 2, and then my Celestial can go ahead and destroy that. The one thing I've noticed that I really like this card is the Nexus aspect. So you can use it, say, specifically against my deck. I'm going to give you guys a little pointer to defeat me. I have my Galaxy and my P-Gust on the field, okay? Galaxy special ability allows me to Nexus off of it to another card. So we'll say P-Gust. I can use this card in 2 ways. I can Gorgon's Gaze the Exaltair, so I won't, I won't receive any damage because of the secondary ability, and they can't Nexus. Or after the Nexus is already started and that Spirit hits P-Gust, before P-Gust uses the ability to destroy a rune, I can go ahead and play this card, which stops that motion from happening. So it depends on what you have on the field. If I have low spirits, I'm going to stop the Exaltair. If I have face down runes and I have another combo I'm about to pop off, I'm going to stop the P-Gust from destroying these cards. I have 3 of these. Most of my decks, when it comes to Poison Tipped Arrow, I have 3. When it comes to Gorgon's Gaze, 3. Tsunami and Shield of Achilles, 2 to 3 depending on the deck. And then Ambrosia, I will always have 3 in my deck. Those are cards that, especially going into tournaments and then the meta aspect of the game, you definitely want to have those loaded up. We're going to go over the side deck now. We'll move this one out of the way. So the side deck can consist only of 12 cards. That includes spirits. So, for instance, this deck does not have any frost or fire. Okay. If I had a fire card I wanted to add to this, I would have to add the Fire Spirit by Pyro to my side deck. You can't hold additional spirits. That's what the side deck's for. It's for either your spirit deck or your main deck. So first off is going to be Exaltair. I have a second Exaltair. Like I said, if I'm facing against a water deck and I need to destroy that Galaxy, I'm going to have a second one ready to go for the best 2 out of 3. I have a third Exaltair, depending on my strategy and if I really want to move more spirits around the board. Again, right now this is a win Toolbox Nexus deck. This one would be more if I wanted to go toward more Nexus than Toolboxing. Gives me another chance to draw this card. Dracodoodle. This is the Cockadoodle's Ascension. It's a 7 attack, 3 defense, 2 cost. You can expend 1 Wind Spirit in order to suppress each Celestial on your opponent's side of the field until the end phase. When this Dracodoodle destroys an opponent's suppressed Celestial in battle, that opponent must expend 3 spirits. So again, I'm going above and beyond doing extra damage to my opponent. The fact that you can suppress everything on the field, again, I'm going to go toward water. You're going to suppress the Galaxy, number 1, and number 2, you have Moss Station, which its special ability is on your opponent's turn. You can switch its attack and defense by expending water. So if I have this guy out, I'm going to block both of their abilities. The one's going to go to a 2 defense and say Moss Station's in attack. Now it's going to go back to that 1 attack, so I can go ahead and defeat it. The added bonus of doing direct damage to the Spirit deck, in my opinion, second to none. I love anything that's deck destruction or attack directly. I love that aspect of this game. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid, so that's my background. That's how I get this game. So for my Yu-Gi-Oh! Players out there, traditional format, the original format, you had your 1 to 4 stars, which you could summon right away. You had your 5 to 6 stars, which required 1 sacrifice, which would be my Dracodoodle, for instance. And then you had your 7 to 8 stars, which you need 2 sacrifices for. Again, I kind of count that toward a 3 cost, because this is going to cost me 1 to sacrifice it. I need an additional spirit to summon that 3 attacker. Foul Cane, this is going to be another Ascension card. This is P-Gust Ascension. But you can expend 1 wind in order to destroy all runes, or you can expect 2 wind in order to destroy each of your opponent's runes. So again, say I had nothing face down, the 1 cost makes sense. If I had a full back row and I had counter runes down or Ambrosias like to try to trick my opponent, I wouldn't want to destroy my cards, so I would go ahead and cost 2. Now you're going to see our Ascensions here. I got 2 and 2. So to make life easier to summon these cards, I have a card called Tower of Winds. I have 2 of these in this deck, in the side deck. This came out in Frostfall. It costs you 1 wind, but you can Nexus a wind spirit to a wind enchant celestial. So I'm going to bring up the whole Nexus mechanic as well. As you're already Nexusing cards on the field. You can use this, say, off your stadium. Say you really need to get one of these guys out, and otherwise you're going to lose your Alestrals. You can Nexus one Wind Spirit to another. If you do, you special ascend it to an Alestral in your hand. So again, say I have my P-Gus down on the field, right, and my opponent has a card, it's gonna destroy me. I'm gonna go ahead and play Tower of Winds, and I'm gonna summon my Falcane. On top of that, even a better combo. I have no Alestrals on my field. They have a 5 or 6 attacker. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I draw my Tower of Winds. I'm gonna go ahead and play my P-Gust or Exaltair, whatever one cost you have, Sorlet, whatever. You're gonna summon that to the field, and now you're gonna go ahead and play Tower of Winds. This is a special ascension. This is a special cast, which means it's outside of your normal casting role. So again, you can combo this, and in one turn you'll have your 2 cost out and deal damage to your opponent. So that's just something to kind of think about. Special ascension is really something that I think moving forward they'll add a lot more to. Water, for instance, I keep going the water route, but Foamy. Foamy has a special ability that when it gets destroyed in battle, you can special ascend a 1 cost water from your deck, add it to the field. Tad Puff is another water card. It costs you 1, but you expend 1 water spirit to special summon it to the field. So again, you got a 2 cost in your hand. You can expend 1, summon it, and then normal ascend to it afterwards. And my last 2 cards are Resting on Your Laurels. This is a decent card to have. Me personally, I just didn't have spot in my deck, but I wanted to have it just in case. It's going to cost you 1 spirit. When your opponent has 2 or more enchanting spirits on the field than you do, target and destroy the opponent's Celestial with the least amount of enchanting spirits. So, again, they have 2 1 costs, so they have 2 costs, whatever. If they have 2 that are the same, you get to choose. Because it says target. It doesn't say your opponent gets to choose on that one. But if they have a 1 cost or 1 spirit and then the other one has 2 spirits, obviously the 1 spirit's going to be destroyed. But this is one thing you can kind of save for later. Also, another way to look at it, it does not say, it says you need at least 2 or more enchanting spirits on it. To me, I also take that as if they have a 2 cost Celestial, for instance, say they have Falcane out on the field right now, and I have no enchanting spirits on the field, I can play this card and destroy it because they have 2 more than I do. So just something to kind of look at for your future combos. So that's going to be it for our main deck and our spirit deck. Now we're going to go on to our spirits. Obviously, wind is going to be the main staple in this deck. We'll go over that one in a second. So I'm going to go over my first ones are going to be 2 Earth Spirits to Rattless. I only have 2 of these because I have 3 Ambrosias in my deck. So, and then I also have the 2 Nemisails. So the Nemisails heal me. The Chrysor, if I can get that out, that'll heal me. This one, I can use Ambrosia to get these back to play my next Earthquake. So just because I have 2 Earthquakes, which is a total of 4 spirits, doesn't mean I need to have 2 of these on the field. The next one, if I count right, it's going to be 2 Zaptors. So I have a total of 4 Thunder Alestrals in my deck. I have 2 Elchick and 2 Ash Rabbit. So I have 2 of these in my deck. Again, I'm going to have the Ambrosia. So if I play both my Thunder cards right away, then I can go ahead and do that. But also having an extra one handy when I have my Ash Rabbit on the field, say I draw my card and I don't want to play an Alestral that turn, I can go ahead and take a card from my Spirit deck. I can now it's not called recasting, but I can go ahead and take a Spirit and add it to that card instead of playing Alestral, and then I can activate the ability again. Ash Rabbit's ability is when it receives a Thunder Spirit. So you can do this a couple times during the game. Next up is going to be our water. This is our Leviathan. I'm sorry, guys, just making sure. Yep. This is our Leviathan. So I have these in here because of the tsunami. And then also, because I have 2 tsunamis, or 3 tsunamis, so I could get away with 1 technically, or I can even add a 3rd one, but 2 seems to be a good number. And then also, too, I'm talking about adding spirits to the Alestrals instead of summoning. If you're about to do a big play, say I got my Chrysor out, and I'm afraid they have Tsunami down, I can go ahead and add an additional spirit instead of my summon to that Chrysor, give it that water type, and now Tsunami won't affect it. So that's a total of 6 spirits. So now the rest of these are going to be my Lycoris. Lycoris is the wind spirit. I have 14 of these in this deck, and then also I have multiple versions. So obviously, a lot of players, they want to bling their deck out. So this one, for instance, is our artist version, our artist collection. I have the normal base set version. I have our Shattered Stars version. This is the hollow pattern of it. You get You always get a non-hollow full art in the Shattered Stars, but this is the hollow version in that set. And then I have my Stellar version. This was a promo card for Kickstarter. This card, as of right now, it is not purchasable. Or the Illustros, Shop Illustros, they don't sell this card anymore. It's all been sold out. It's all been gone. So we don't know in the future. They might release a second Stella Icarus, different art design, different color scheme. Who knows what the future holds? They might even add additional wind spirits so you can really switch your deck up. But as of right now, this is the Stellar version. So I got one of these in this deck. And the rest of these are all the hollow from the first, from base set. So the only other thing I really want to go over, and I didn't go over it as much earlier, is what we're going to do. We're going to toss our side deck to the side real quick, and we're going to shuffle. And we're going to just go and go over a first turn, what a first turn would look like. Don't mind my laptop in the way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shuffle a little bit. You want to shuffle a few times, and then cutting the deck. Me personally, I always cut my deck when I'm playing my opponent. That way they don't think I'm cheating. I know sometimes when people are shuffling, they might hold their this way and say like Aeolus is right there. They might shuffle and like keep that one card there. I don't like doing that, so I always turn it this way. And then you're just going to shuffle. And then even if you want to, a couple times from the front, you can go this way. So we'll shuffle this a couple more times, and then we're going to cut the deck. I know some people do 2, 3, 4. I always do 3. That way 100%, at least in my opinion, I know it's not going to be too messed up. And then also when you guys are setting up your decks, I probably should have done this in this video, but say I'm building my deck, I have stacks of each card because you can have up to 3 copies. What I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and do one of these. That way I know every third copy of a card, it's not going to be near each other. And then I'll go through and then I'll shuffle my deck from there. Essentially making sure there's no clumping of one particular card. You know, obviously that would be nice if you had, say, your Exaltair or your Poison Tipped Arrows or something, and you can set up your back row or you can set up your Nexus mechanic. But say you get cards like Ambrosia or Earthquake, some cards you can use once and then you're not getting Illustros. You're going to need your Illustros, or vice versa. You're going to need your counter runes. So making sure that you guys really set your deck up ready to go. So I'm shuffled enough, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck in 3. Set it over here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw 5 cards. So if anyone follows Illustrals on Twitter, sometimes they'll post 5 or 6 cards as your first hand, and then ask you what you guys would do in that situation. So most people are going to do the same thing over and over, but something to kind of look at. That's what we're going to do here. So to me, this actually isn't that bad of a first hand. Already I have my Nexus mechanic in Exaltair. So first turn, say I went first. If you go first, you cannot draw a card. If I was going to keep this hand, personally what I would do is I would summon my Exaltair in attack mode. Okay? It's got a 3 attack. Sorry for the light, guys. Trying to fix it a little bit. Alright, I summon my Exaltair in attack mode. Okay? It's got a higher attack. Nothing else is on the field yet. I'm going to go ahead and play this. Now I'm going to go ahead and play my Aeolus. So there's 2 things you can do in this scenario. You can load it up with spirits, or you can put up just what you need. I don't have another Aeolus in my hand, so I'm actually going to put a couple additional spirits on there. But also what I'll do is I'll Nexus from Exaltair turn 1. So before my opponent even gets a first turn, I'm going to deal 2 points of damage to them. Also, you could use this ability, so I don't know what my next card's going to be. We're going to look at that in a second. But say I might not have an Celestial. So if they destroy this, I'm going to be wide open. I might go use this ability and get something else. The whole point of this deck for your toolbox is going to be searching your deck for a card and then your Nexus ability so you can use that. So there's 2 ways you can do that. Before we check what the next card is going to be, you also have Earthquake, and then you have 2 counter runes on your field. So number 1, Tsunami is going to change everyone to defense mode. That's immediately I want to play that face down. Altar of Stars. If you just want to do quick succession like guerrilla attacks on your opponent, you can go ahead and play this face down. On their turn, say they're about to attack, say they got Necroth with a 5 attack, they're going to go ahead and attack Exaltair. I'm going to play my Altar of Stars. I'll Nexus off of Aeolus to my Exaltair, and then I'll go ahead and that card will get turned into defense mode. Or because this one already has 2 spirits, I can switch it back over here. Remember, when you're playing your Exaltair, it is not a receive ability. Its ability is to Nexus. So if I use Altar of Stars and add to it, I can't use its special ability. That's only when I activate its own ability. So neither here nor there. Say we're face down right now. Let's look and see what the right move would have been. Let's draw our next card. It was an Elechick. So that would have been a good idea not to search my deck at that point, because right now I got my Elechick, which is searches for my Divine Rune. So what I could do on my next turn, say they got a strong Celestial out, I can use Earthquake to destroy it. I can use my Aeolus. I can go ahead and search my deck, and I can pull another Wind Celestial, say P-Gust or Nemisail, that have receive abilities, play that, and then I can start using Exaltair's ability back and forth to activate his ability to cost my opponent 2, but then say P-Gust to attack my opponent to destroy one of their runes. Flip side, what I could also do is play this guy and then play my Elechick. I would personally wait for that, because say they have a card that does hand destruction. I don't want to have my next Aeolus ready to go and they destroy it. I'd rather wait to use this until the opportune moment to actually that I need the card. Otherwise, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. The Tsunami, again, great card to have out early, especially if they're going to have something stronger. And then same thing, my Altar of Stars. Another scenario we could have done was, I can search for my Aeolus, I can search for my Elechick. Say they had a card, and say it was a 4 cost, and I don't want to waste Tsunami on a card like that. I don't want to waste Altar on a card like that. You can go ahead and take the Lost. It's going to cost you 2 spirits, but now I have 2 search options to, number 1, get my next Wind Celestial, or to get my next Divine Rune, depending on what I need. And we'll just check the last one, Gorgon's Gaze. Again, a good card to have. Stops your opponent from using their ability, stops them mid-attack. The one thing I do like about this is if they have an ability that powers themselves up, again, you can use your Gorgon's Gaze while they're attacking. It's going to lower their attack back down, and then, say, Exaltair can probably knock them out. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate it. I know it's a little bit longer video than I'm used to making, but I want to start doing more of these deck ideas, these deck videos. Comment down below if there's anything you personally would have changed, whether it would be my main deck or my side deck. If you're new, subscribe. I post videos regularly. Right now, we're in the middle of our 25 days of Daybreak review cycle. I'm posting literally every single day. I'm reviewing the new videos that Elestrals post and then giving my thoughts on those videos as well. But that's all I got for you guys. My name is Stellar Christoph. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you guys all have a stellar day. I'll see you in the next video.